Hi everyone, I thought it was about time I did another solar update. So, over the past few weeks I've done lots of work and hopefully you understand what I've done. I mean, I've done the remote control, I've added the transistor, I've added the buttons, of course I've added the sensor for the remote, I've done lots with the screen and trying to get that working, and I've done some other things, mainly to do with programming. But over the past 2 weeks there's a problem which has been going on for a long time, which I've been trying to work out. And to do that, what I've done is I've programmed in some diagnostics into the two microcontrollers, so into the Nano and into the ESP32. So I have explained very very briefly what this problem is, but now I'll explain in a bit more depth. So what happens is that for some reason the the ESP32 sends data to my server, and the data it sends is NaN, 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 which is not a number, not a number, not a number, not a number. So I needed to find out what was the root of the issue. Was it with the ESP32 or the Nano? And it's been quite tough to find out. But anyway, I've added in some diagnostics and it turns out that it's the Nano that's causing the problems. So I thought I'd just go over what the problem is and what I think I'm going to do about it. So this is what I think the problem is to start with. For whatever reason, the Nano should be sending data every 1 second to the ESP32, but for some reason, after an amount of time, and it could be days, or it may not be, it simply stops transmitting data. So I don't know why it does that, but what happens, I think, is that when it stops receiving data, the ESP32 is just programmed to get whatever data comes through, and it does this every 15 seconds or whatever it is, I can't remember exactly, but it gets the data, it averages it out, and it transmits it over to the server. So I think what would happen, if this stopped transmitting, this would get its data, which would be, well, nothing. It gets no data in, so it goes off 0, 0, 0, 0, and I think what it does is adds all the zeros together and then divides by 0 in order to get the mean, and 0 divided by 0 is, well, it's just not a number, it doesn't make any sense. So I think what it's doing is it's getting NaN, 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 and it's sending it off to the server. Of course, it's a bit stupid, but I think that's what it's doing. So, yeah, so the issue, or the issue really is that this habitually stops sending data, and it will send data perfectly for a long time. Well, I say a long time, of course I can't really define long time, but it sends data and then all of a sudden it stops, and it doesn't ever get back to life, if you know what I mean. So that's the problem. So I've got to find out why it does that. But anyway, some of you might be thinking right now, what data is it sending to start with? Well, the data it sends is the data from Modbus over here, or from the charge controller. So it gets the Modbus data through this Ethernet cable here. It goes into the RS485 to TTL converter, and then it goes to here. Now, from what I gather, it's doing that fine, but for some reason it just doesn't transmit it. There's also this data over here that it gets from the current shunt, and that's to find out how much amperage is leaving the batteries. There's also more data as well. It gets data from the light sensor. Anyway, we're going off the subject slightly. So this Nano needs diagnosing more to find out exactly why it stops transmitting to the ESP32. But in order to do that, I think it's a bit of a two-part thing. I think what I'll do is I'll build in some sort of error message or diagnostics, or almost like a telltale that the ESP will do in order to alert me that there's a problem. And I think what I'll do is I'll build in some sort of timeout. So what I'm going to do is I'll record the last message received via serial from the Nano, and if the last message received via the Nano was greater than a timeout, so say 15 seconds or whatever, and then spit out an error message, and probably even send the error message to my server and my server will get the error message and send me an email or something like that. Now, although I've not told you before, this actually already happens, or something similar, but just not for that problem. So yeah, so I'm going to put that onto the ESP32 to say, oh look, we've not received data from the Nano, what's going on? And of course I'll be alerted, I can reset this and it will all be perfect again. So I want to do that. But on the Nano, there's something I've got to do with the Nano as well. I've got to do diagnostics to find out why it keeps stopping. And I'm not 100% certain on how I'm going to do that yet. But one idea would be to leave it plugged in to serial and just get it to spit out serial data of certain, I don't know, events. And maybe there'll be an error message displayed on serial. But I've got a couple of other ideas too. Because this problem where it stops completely, it could be several different issues. It could be a programming issue where I've just built in and there's some sort of exception or something like that, and it can't, you know, it doesn't transmit anymore for whatever reason, some miscalculation or something. Or it could actually be a memory leak and the thing runs out of memory and then crashes. It could be several different things. But anyway, I've got to fix that. So to fix the memory leak problem, there's actually a library which a guy called Carl had made me aware of. So anyway, I thought I'd just keep you posted about what's going on with solar and the problems I'm facing with it currently. And hopefully in the very near future I can tell you what I did to diagnose this and fix it, hopefully. And yeah, we'll go from there. Thanks for watching. Bye.